Hi, this is Mo Volans back for Audiotuts.com with another screencast. And this time we're going to be concentrating on what I like to call dynamic reverb or dynamic effects returns. I'll get into exactly what they are as we progress. But as you can see, we're in Logic and I've got a bit of a project mocked up here. It's just 4 parts, really simple. It's just a drum loop, a bass part, pad, and a vocal. The vocal is what we're going to be concentrating on in this tutorial, in this screencast. But really, this project is not a real project. It's just to demonstrate the technique. And again, even though we're in Logic, don't think that we can't produce these effects in any other DAW. You could be in Cubase, Reason, Ableton, Digital Performer, whatever. As long as it supports send and return effects and sidechaining, and that's pretty much everything now, it should work just fine. So ignore the fact we're in Logic and ignore the exact brand of plugins that I'm using, because any reverb and any compressor and any mixer is going to do just fine. So let's have a quick listen to the project and you can get your head around what we're going to be working with. I'll zoom into the parts. It's just looped.
This moment, this time, this moment, she got my heart in her hand. This moment, this time, this moment, she got my heart in her hand.
Now you can hear the vocal isn't really well edited or anything. It's just to represent a vocal part. And really the rest of it is just to accompany that. And we're going to be using some of it as a trigger. Now, what I want to do here is put some really large reverb on the vocal. You might find yourself in a situation where you're working on a breakdown or on some kind of intro or transitional section of your track where you want to use large reverbs for atmosphere or atmospherics. And sometimes that can really interfere with a vocal part, or any sort of monophonic top line part can be really interfered with by large reverbs and delays. I'm going to show you one way of getting around that will allow you to still use these really big reverbs. So let's get into it and we'll start to produce the send return effect. Let's open the mixer up a bit. This may look a little squashed. It's just so it fits in the 720 video frame. So don't be alarmed by the small size of the mixer here. All right, so here's the vocal. I'm just going to set up a send return. So we're going to go bus 1. It's just the first free return. If in any other DAW, just use the method you'd normally use for creating a send return. And in that return, I'm going to use a reverb. Let's go with one of the Lexicon concert halls. Nice large reverb here. And obviously the mix is on 100%. I'm going to up the reverb time and we'll adjust that as we go. I'm going to shut that down for just a second. And then we're just going to send some of this vocal straight to that reverb. And you'll find that it's probably going to be too much in the mix.
This moment, this time, this moment, she got my heart in her hand. This moment.
It's fine, it's a nice reverb sound, but it's just too much, you know? It's just too heavy and it really doesn't match the rest of the elements. So what can we do to tame that reverb return a little bit? Well, this is where the dynamic reverb return comes in. And you can use any compressor here that's going to support sidechaining. And realistically, that's what we're doing here. We are sidechaining. So I'm going to use the FabFilter Pro C. It's a favorite of mine. And if you go to, we want to take auto off, by the way, that's auto leveling. We don't want that on. We're going to go to expert here. And then we're going to go to external sidechain. And this is just inserted straight after the reverb. So we've got the reverb there. And then straight under, on the same return channel, we've got the compressor. And like I say, you can use any compressor that supports sidechaining. And then we're going to find out which channel the drum loop's on. And it's on audio 3. We're going to make sure that we're using that as the trigger. That's the sidechain input in Logic. Again, in your DAW, just make sure that you've routed the drums to the sidechain. And let's have a listen to that.
Moment, this time, this moment, she got my heart in her hand.
Now we can see that the drum loop is creating gain reduction. The only real problem is that this drum loop contains a few different frequencies. We've got the snare, we've got a hat in there. If it was just a kick drum, we'd be fine. And you know, that reverb will be tidied up quite quickly. But in this case, if you're using an entire drum bus or an entire drum part or drum loop as we are here, you might want to focus in on specific frequencies. So we're going to use frequency dependent sidechaining. It's really the same thing as a de-esser uses. When you're taking the sibilants out the top of a vocal, we're going to do exactly the same thing, but we're going to focus on the kick drum. So if I use this filter here, and I'm guessing the kick drum's going to be 100 hertz and below, we can now see, and you can solo this by the way, if you go to the reverb return, so you can hear that. So if we fade this filter open, there's our snare. Let's cut that off. So now we're getting a nice bit of gain reduction every time the kick hits. I'm timing the release to the track. A nice fast attack time so it comes in nice and quickly. And then just as much gain reduction as you want. I'm going with quite an extreme amount so you can hear it. So about 20 dB of reduction right now. So now what you want to do is take the audition off and make sure there's no solos on, and we can have a listen to that in the mix. Now you can hear that reverb is applied to the vocal, but it's tamed while the kick's in there. We can reduce the gain reduction. Quite a cool effect. It's almost like gating. It's almost like a gated reverb, but it's timed and it's dynamic, and it sounds more integral to the track. Now another trick you can use is, rather than using the kick drum, because it's been done to death, you can actually use the vocal itself as the sidechain source. So instead of the kick drum, we'll go to the vocal. And what this means is that when the vocal's in, it's going to create gain reduction and it's going to work as a trigger. And when the vocal phrase finishes, the reverb is going to be allowed to breathe. So let's have a listen to that. And make sure that the filter is removed, because obviously if we have the same filter on, the vocal won't be picked up. Let's solo the vocal.
This is the time. This is the moment. She got my heart in her hand. This is the moment.
So in between the phrases is where you can hear the reverb. And I think that works really well.
This is the moment. This is the time. This is the moment. She got my heart in her hand. This is the moment. This is the time.
It's really important to get the release and the amount of gain reduction correct here. Maybe a little bit of a slower attack as well. And maybe you could pan that reverb return. But there you go. That's a really easy way of getting a dynamic reverb return. Remember, you can use this with delay. You can use it with any spatial effect that has a tail. So tape delays, stereo delays, reverbs. And it's a really cool way of getting your return tracks to breathe with your track and have an organic link to any element you like in your mix, be it the kick drum, be it the vocal itself. And remember, it doesn't have to be a vocal. You can try this with lead guitars, top line lead synths. It's a really great way of applying heavy effects to those elements without masking them with huge swathes of reverb or delay tail. So hopefully that's been useful to you. I'm coming back in a week or two with part 2 of my synthesis screencast about the mod matrix. And I'm open to suggestions for any future screencasts. I'll see you soon.